is the people's mission. Tonight, we got to address some of the decision that was handed down by the Supreme Court, and also the elections that's coming up here in Florida, and gerrymandering and how it will impact us here in Escambia County. First, we'll go to our host, Mr. Derek Scott, who is the chair of the Escambia County Democrat Party. Uh, Ms. Jill Lewis Daggs, who is with Santa Rosa, and BJ, not Santa Rosa, I mean Okaloosa, and BJ Bruner is with Santa Rosa. So, and Mr. Vernon Watson, while you'll be watching this show on WBQP TV, Roku, Fire Stick, and YouTube. Derek?
Okay, great. Thank you and welcome everybody. Glad that everybody's here and you're able to join us this evening. We are going to start with our normal roundtable, and we have with us also Mr. Jamil Davis from Black Voters Matter. I'm going to start with our normal roundtable, and I will start with you, Mr. McIntosh.
I just want to thank everybody that came to and participated with us in our banquet. We did honor our host here tonight, Mr. Derek Scott. I definitely wanted to make sure that we got somebody that was working and doing work in the community and making sure that the voice of the people is heard here. And Derek has been doing the work along with others. Know Jill too. So, but we so happy that we was happy to honor you at our banquet this year. We are honored to have everybody that participated. We were looking for Jamil, but Jamil had other alternatives. So we was hoping you made it, but I got your text. But anyway, it turned out well. It was well attended. We sold out our tickets, and we thank everybody for that bought ads in our ad book. And it will help us till we go to the next banquet. But also, we will have other fundraisers in between because we have to, and because there's so much work to be done. But back to you, Derek.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Vernon, do you have anything for the body? You don't have anything to tell us about listening to the show or any of that other job? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, you handle your technical.
Derek, before you move on, Derek, there's a birthday party. Sheila's having a big birthday party on the 12th. The doors open at 5 p.m. The show starts at 6. She got BK Jackson, who is the saxophonist, will be there. Tickets are $50. It's 2610 West Avanti Street. Hope to see everybody there. All right.
Okay. Well, BJ, what do you have?
I actually don't have anything this week. I guess you're going to talk about what we did today. I'll leave that to you.
No, it was in Santa Rosa. That's you.
Okay. Well, today we had a boots on the ground event in Santa Rosa County up in Milton, Florida, where I just saw Derek and Jill. Y'all look just as beautiful on camera as you do in person. But it was it was an event that I'm glad that we had. We certainly had a lot of people who came through from all 3 counties in order for us to come together just to basically solidify how we're going to build a coalition moving forward in order to move the needle, get people to the polls, figure out how to do that, how to mobilize volunteers. And so, yeah, that the Florida Democratic Party sent a representative from about 8 hours away all the way to the Western Panhandle to come and speak to us. And we're very thankful for that. So, yeah, that was the event that we hosted today.
You heard that? Jamil, welcome. What do you have to share? Any good news? What's the good word?
What's the good word? Salutations to one and all. Thank y'all once again for having me on. I really enjoy being on here with y'all. I learned so much, and hopefully y'all learn just the same. So, as Mr. McIntosh so eloquently stated, I did have a little tie up on Juneteenth, and that tie up was the beginning of our Black Voters Matter North Florida Juneteenth weekend bus tour. Initially, our bus tour was supposed to start at Gallery Night. Gallery Night got canceled. So thanks to the wonderful people over at Real Women Radio, Life is Hell, and Commissioner Lumen May, shout out to Commissioner Lumen May, we were able to secure, as a coalition, the Vinyl Music Hall for Juneteenth. And it was free. Lots of people showed up. We were able to get these Black Voters Matter shirts out to the public. So if y'all see new Black Voters Matter shirts with a little heart on it and yellow writing that says "We got us," that's what's going down. That's our theme for this year. 10th year anniversary of Black Voters Matter as well. So we've been doing some really great work in the community. And then the very next day, June the 20th, we were in Panama City for the Juneteenth festival that they have there, sponsored by one of our awesome partners, Minority PC. And then we ended everything on June the 22nd with our partners at Jacksonville Community Action Committee here in Jacksonville, having a voting rights rally. And like I said, that was this past Monday, June 22nd. And then Thursday, all of our good friends over at Equal Ground Education Fund had another wonderful stop on their legislative debrief tour that they are taking right here, once again, in Jacksonville, at the Church of Oakland. Shout out to Pastor Christopher McKee Jr., who is the pastor at Church of Oakland and also sits on the board for Equal Ground Education Fund. Also, quick reminder for people. This is a quick reminder for people, but this is also a quick plug for myself. If you need to reach out to me for any Black Voters Matter related business, this is the last week to do so, as once we get to July 3rd, the entire organization itself is on vacation until July the 27th. So yes, no, it's not that I'm leaving. It's that the whole org is incommunicado until the 27th of July. So any Black Voters Matter related business, please hit me up on this last week. But I will also be doing my own community organizing business throughout the month of July. Back to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Jill, what do you have?
Morning, everyone. Wow, Jamil, I love that. 3 weeks off. I love it. Not that you guys don't need it, because you probably will have no break until after November. So I think that's awesome. Also to Jerry, your event was wonderful. And congratulations to Mr. Derek Scott. I think you guys had like a moment just between the two of you where you kind of connected back in the day, and Miss Carol was in there in the room in spirit, and you choked Miss Derek up just enough where he's like, okay, I got this. I'm going up front. So congratulations to Derek. He does a lot throughout the community, for not just Escambia County, but also for the Black Caucus and the Women's Club, and really anybody who asks him to help. He's there, and he's tapped into our great counterpart, BJ Brunius, because he I'm still loving your TikToks. I'm just telling you. He does his TikToks. He does a lot of your digital stuff that you do, and your creativity is fabulous. So we just have a really good team that I love to utilize your talents to get my vision into place. So I appreciate it. I can kind of draw it, but I can't make it come to life without y'all's help. So I thank you for that. In fabulous Okaloosa County, on Monday, we had the opportunity, thanks to Commissioner May, Jeff Null, and the David Jolly team, for David Jolly to stop by at the Crestview Resource Center. And we were able to pull together pastors, elected officials, everyday people, the Divine Nine, the NAACP, the Democrats, all in one room. And I think gubernatorial candidate David Jolly was a little shocked at first. I think he thought this was going to be like a Black Caucus meeting or a DC meeting, and he didn't realize, well, you've got pastors, you've got Divine Nine, you've got elected officials that are wanting to know, okay, if you're running for governor and you're going to represent us, what does that mean? And so we thank him for that first stop. And then he left Crestview, Florida, and drove about an hour, because he didn't get in the fast pass lane with Sun Pass, to Destin. And he was at Camille's. So we thank Mr. Morgan for setting that up. And he had a different demographic of people where he got to also share. So I think he's getting his word out. And we know, I'm sure we're going to talk about some more of that. So I'm going to leave that right there. And then we were blessed to go to Milton today, as BJ said. We had a small team from Okaloosa, but yet they showed up, and it was actually really good. It was nice to see. We weren't quite sure, at least on my side, I wasn't quite sure what the vice chair of the Florida Democratic Party was going to come talk to us about. But Pam did a wonderful job in just making people feel comfortable and understanding what's important and why it's important to knock on doors and what to say to people and to not be scared, and that it's okay to not know. I wish all of our elected officials will understand, and our candidates that are running, that it is okay if you don't know to say, I don't know, but then go find out the information so you can be better answer said questions. And then I just have, let me finish Okaloosa. So Okaloosa this month, coming up in July, we'll have the following meetings on the second Tuesday of the month, which is the 14th. The Democratic Black Caucus is going to join, breaking news, Escambia County, Okaloosa, Santa Rosa, and Walton County, with having the candidate for Chief Financial Officer, Earl Ford, will be there. It'll be via Zoom, so we'll get everybody that information. Everybody is invited. It is time that we start seeing our candidates that we have to get more information and get educated on, so that we can support those that support our issues. And then on the third Tuesday, the 21st, we'll have our Democratic Executive Committee meeting. That meeting is at the City Council Chambers in Niceville. I will have the at about 6:30. I don't know what that is. That must be Vernon working on his.
No, that was
whatever. Oh, all right, Jerry. And then on the fourth Tuesday, we will have our environmental caucus meeting, and that is also via Zoom. So in Okaloosa, we try to get all of our Democratic meetings on Tuesdays, the second, the third, and the fourth Tuesday. And then would you like for me to go over the DBCF, or are you going to do that, sir? We have the opportunity and the requirement and the, hey, we need people to understand that this is not the time to sit at home. This is not the time to say, I'm not sure if I need to get engaged or involved. The Democratic Black Caucus of Florida is having their 43rd annual conference on July 17th at the Rosen Center in Orlando, 9840 International Drive. And July 17th, doors open at 7:30. It's till 5. If you are part of the Democratic party, you might realize that Leadership Blue is that very same weekend. And we're getting a lot of questions like, how can I do both? Glad you asked. How do you do both? We only did our conference this year, first time ever that it wasn't just an election, for one day. So from 8 to 5, you have the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida. You'll have the State of the Caucus, a fabulous breakfast, 3 panels, a fabulous lunch, and then our candidate extravaganza and networking social. And that candidate extravaganza is open to all candidates across the state of Florida, up and down the ballot. We've done it one other time a couple of years ago, and it went over very well. It gave all candidates in the state of Florida a time to get on the stage and to share their platform, share what needs they have. And remember, we have 67 counties in Florida, and sometimes there are counties that don't have DCs or caucuses or clubs, and there are still volunteers that want to engage, get involved, do work, have money they want to share with candidates. And so this gives them the opportunity to put a face with the name. And so we've sent it out to all of the candidates that are running for House, Senate, Congress, and statewide, but also are asking all of our chapters to share it with their local leadership. I do know that our candidates that are running for SD2 and HD3 will be there. That would be Ingrid Wadsworth and Lauren Donahue. And then at 5 o'clock after the social's over, you can go over to the Disney property where the Florida Democratic Party will be having their Leadership Blue. And Friday night is just a time for everybody to get in, to have a few drinks, to socialize, to network. I'm not sure, they have not released who the other networking socials will be with, but we do know our chair, Nikki Freed, will be kicking off Leadership Blue with her wonderful event. And then followed by that, there's usually statewide people that come. And then Saturday all day will be, for those that are attending, will be trainings. Saturday night, they have their gala with the fabulous Pete Buttigieg. And then on Sunday, even though we tried to talk them out of it, we have a state executive and central committee meeting. And then those of us that live way in the panhandle will get back on the road, hopefully not at 5 or 6 o'clock like last time. And we will travel back home to bring all of our wonderful partners and Democratic friends information back from what we learned and what we experienced. So I say all that to invite you, if you are interested in what's going on, you do not have to be a member of the Democratic Black Caucus to participate in the conference. It's going to be wonderful, and we invite you to join us. This year, it's only $150. We have an early bird special. And that gets you everything that I told you: breakfast, lunch, your drink ticket, information, education. I believe Jamil is joining us on one of the panels. He's moderating some. And so even though he has those days off, he's going to be spending a little bit of it with the Democratic Black Caucus. So we appreciate him. Thank you so much. And did I miss anything, Derek? I think that's all I have for now. Okay, great. He's like, you talk too much. Anyway, yes, you're done. But I just wanted to get through most of the information. All right. I'm going to hand it back over to, what was the award you gave him? The most famous, fabulous person in Escambia County in 2026. What was it?
What was it?
It was your award.
I thought, okay, yeah. It was
She's got all the joke.
Wait, let him tell us what the award was. I really couldn't remember. So,
it was for the hard work that he's done in the community. It was a community award for hard work. Well, I can't even. My mind has gone blank.
That's okay. That's okay. I think it had something maybe to do with his civic engagement or something. I don't know, something like that. Maybe. Even though I'm still like, I have to tell your secret. I'm still shocked over the whole Andrew Gillum thing. But all right, I'm gonna hand it over to you.
So, secret, What said?
The secret that you didn't go to the events when Andrew came
Oh,
here. And he was
oh,
all over Pensacola and Okaloosa County and
yeah,
Santa Rosa
no,
and everywhere. And Derek
I
said,
ain't
look,
go.
there you
I
go.
didn't go.
Jamil, see, that's why we're working so hard.
Oh, okay.
He voted. He just didn't go.
I didn't go. Yeah. Mm-mm. Hold on. So yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to do a couple things at one time. First off, let me say, sorry, Jill, are you done now? You done?
Yes, sir. I believe I am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Did you? I wanted to go back because we haven't been with you guys for quite a while. So when we took off Father's Day. So I hope everybody had a wonderful Father's Day holiday for those of you who are fathers or play the role of one in your respective lives. We had an opportunity, as I will say, we had a great Juneteenth. It was a great um, gala for the Movement for Change. And I guess I didn't realize people were recording and posted it on Facebook, and everybody's texting me like, "Are you crying?" And I'm like, "Leave me be." Yeah, I did not cry. I was choked up, but it is what it is. But I thank you, and for if you aren't aware, and I will show it to you. I don't know if you can see it. It is the Civil Rights Community Award,
Yeah.
and that's what it's called, Jill, the
Yeah.
Civil Rights Community Award. So I am very much humbled, honored, and appreciative to Mr. McIntosh and Movement for Change. We started talking. He was like, "Oh, back in the night." I was like, "Ooh, Lord, okay." It is way back in the day. So yes, we had a great Movement for Change, Freedom Isn't Free gala, and very special shout out to Jasmine Burney Clark, who was the keynote speaker. She was absolutely phenomenal. If you have not heard from Jasmine or did not get a chance to hear her, what we will share. Did you share this already? Did I miss it in your thing? Because I was trying to do things. The Equal Ground will be here on Saturday, August 1st. So we're going to start plugging this every show, every opportunity. Mr. McIntosh is going to put it on his social medias. So those same folks, and we're going to talk about it on Mr. Vernon's radio show, the same folks we saw plus more at the Juneteenth, the Freedom is Not Free event. We want to see pack out for the Equal Ground 2026 legislative session debrief because we have work to do. So that's going to be Saturday, August 1st here in Pensacola at Hearst Chapel AME Church, which is located at 707 North C Street here in Pensacola. So please make every effort to attend. We'll start sending out more and more information and getting the graphics and the flyers and everything for everybody to come and join us. But the very next day, we had an opportunity to hear from gubernatorial candidate David Jolly as he opened a campaign office here in Escambia County, which was the first time in well over 30 plus years that a gubernatorial candidate has opened any type of office in Northwest Florida. So very glad that turned out very well. We had well over like 70, 80 folks in a very confined space, but it was a great event. And if you have not been able, if you need information, certainly on the Jolly campaign, you can stop by their headquarters, which is at, I want to say 3121, but I've forgotten the name of the street now. So it's on West Garden Street. That's what I will tell you. I can't remember the address now, but certainly feel free to stop there. And so, as Jill said, we had a long day on Monday with David Jolly in his visit in Okaloosa County. Felt like we drove all across the United States in a very short window of time, but it was a great time, great turnout, and happy to do that. And now as BJ said, we had a great boots on the ground training event in Santa Rosa, and thanks to Miss Pamela Castellana with the Florida Democratic Party, who came down all the way from Brevard County, which is like Cape Canaveral for those trying to figure out what cities are where. It's Cape Canaveral or South Florida area, and did a great training for us. So we're very appreciative for that, and it was a great turnout. Thank you to everybody who came out, and thank you to BJ for feeding us. We appreciate him, and thank you to the Santa Rosa Democrats for doing that and hosting us. And let's see, we're going to take off just one more week, but we are going to start knocking doors here in Escambia County. We have, if you've heard us talk about it, we have quite an extensive amount of candidates. A good amount are going to be in the August election, as we were heard to say it today, the August election. And so we need to get folks out to make sure that they get on board and get out their vote for Tuesday, August 18th. So we're going to be knocking doors here in Escambia County for the school board candidates, for the mayoral candidate. So we have a lot of work to do. So if you'd like to join us, please do so. We have about 10,000 postcards that need to go out within the next month. So if you've got a hankering for writing or addressing postcards, all you need to do is fill out the name and the address and the city and the zip, and you can write a quick one-line note and put the stamp on it, and that's it. We supply the postcards, we supply the stamps, we supply everything. All you need is just the pen and your willingness to get engaged and get involved. So please reach out to the Escambia Democrats. Our office is located at 2618 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive here in Pensacola. We're open from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. And we'd love to have you come out and pick up a stack of postcards. We have, as I said, there are like 10,000 sitting on the tables just ready to go. So if you have, so that's 10,000 right now. We have another 6,000 that are in the chamber that are about to come out too. So if you'd like to join us in writing some postcards, please, we'd love to have you join us in that endeavor. And that is about it. We're going to start. I think there is a candidate forum, a mayoral candidate forum scheduled for July the 29th, and that's going to be sponsored by Movement for Change, I believe, and League of Women Voters, as well as the NAACP. We'll get you more details for it, and that's for here in Pensacola. We'll get you more details as information arises, but we hope that you come out and hear from those candidates, because everybody has something. If you're in Escambia County in the August election, every person has something to go and vote for in that election. It's not just a few people here or a few people there. There's not one soul in Escambia County that should not be voting in this August election. So please make sure you get out and go vote, but more importantly, hear from the candidates that are going to be running in the August election. And I will turn it back over to you, Mr. McIntosh.
Okay, well, I just want to us to really address a decision that came down from the Supreme Court of the day on the Haitians community, and also the Civil Rights Bill and other bills that are going to negatively affect us going forward. The Trump administration went before the Supreme Court to, because they had been talking about deporting all the Haitians that live here that's not citizens, but those are people with protected was a protected status that here the majority of them, because the most of them was turned back and many of them drowned at sea because they were turned back. When they were trying to get to America, when they had the great earthquake over there and the hurricane that hit and tore up Haiti, just a whole host of calamities that have messed up Haiti over there. And then going back years, dictators who ripped the country off and, and back further than that, the embargo that we had on it, and back further than that, France demanded reparation for people freeing themselves, and they've been paying reparation for almost a century, maybe a century or more. And we put a embargo around them that caused the country to fall into disarray. So it's just a whole host of things. But now, because of the protected status they had here in America, I mean, on the Americans, in the United States, on their soil here in Miami, most of them live. Now they're talking about deporting over 300 Haitians, meaning that you and I could be picked up because who they gonna know who's a Haitian and who's not? You know,
Just to clarify, it's 350,000.
350,000. Yeah,
Yeah, not 300.
right. You're right, right. 350,000. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I just wanted let's make that clear. 350,000.
Yeah.
And these are people who are engineers and bus drivers and computer techs and doctors and nurses and chefs and professors and content creators and just a whole host of people who have knowledge of the politics of Haiti, who are writers and all of that, who writing books, and now with the possibility of being deported from this country. And the thing about it, all of us is going to be harassed for this ruling that came down by the Supreme Court. That means all of us, how you going to tell who's a Haitian and who's not? That's the question. And how will we fare under those conditions? Because you and I and Haitians look just alike. As far as, they just call Haitian, but they're Black people. The majority of them look like us. I don't know any that don't, really. So what's your thoughts on this, Jamil?
I think this is an unfortunate circumstance. I think this is also a circumstance that, as you just stated, Mr. McIntosh, puts us back in a space where racial profiling will be the law of the land, as if it hasn't stopped being the law of the land here in this country. Also, in the same breath, this is a situation, whether we want to realize it or not, hugely affects not just the state of Florida, but also the Panhandle as well. Many Haitians actually reside in Escambia County due to coming from South Florida or Central Florida to go to University of West Florida. And then once they get to University of West Florida, they sometimes just stay in Pensacola. And, I think a lot of people don't realize the severity of this situation, because many of our Haitian and Syrian siblings, as I like to call them, a lot of them have not even set foot in these countries.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them were initially born in these countries, but then left and came here to the States, either through DACA or other means of immigration through their parents. And they've essentially been raised here. And now we put them in jeopardy of possibly having to go back to areas that either they've never been in, in their life, or areas where, even though that's where they're from, they may not have family members there. So that's another disconnection in and of itself. And I think this is another thing that we have to think about, and think about how we are going to discuss from an organizational perspective, being organizers, because we can no longer simply say that this is their issue. Immigration is their problem. It's always been our problem. Because the moment that they decide, which, we've all talked about this many times on this show and many other shows, that the 14th Amendment is up in question here in this country. At the moment they decided to get rid of the 14th Amendment, who's to say that we all on this call aren't next?
Exactly. Jill?
I think I took what Jamil just said and just had to take a deep breath, because you continue to fight, and then you just think, when is it ever going to be over? Well, it's never going to be over. But they do everything they can to continue to take away. I don't know that we can, maybe some of us, because we might have relatives that are from there, so I don't want to say that, but there's a lot of people that are here in the United States and don't understand what temporary protective status means, or why you even had to have it, and the true fear that must be going through them to think that I have to go back to a place that we tell Americans not to go to. That we're just going to rip them from the life that they know right now, that they've had for years. And that somehow we become a place, and not somehow, but we are a place and a space that no longer cares about the humanitarian view of anything. It is just get rid of people that don't look like them. And I just wonder if they're going to start doing this like they do ICE. Is it going to be that, this is another win for them? So this is a space and place where they can prove, when he said he was going to get rid of all these people, that he can actually do it. And does he go at it in a vengeance like he did with ICE? Does ICE now also go after all the Haitians? And then, like Jerry said, do they really know? Now, they do have the status. They have to check in. They know who's on TPS. But just because they know who's on TPS doesn't mean that they go by that guideline. But we should understand that they already know exactly who they're dealing with. It's not like they're not sure who's here. They know everybody that's on there. That's how they have a figure. If they didn't know, they would have made it up and said there was a whole lot more. There's 350,000 because they know there's 350,000. They know where they live. They know where they are. But that doesn't stop the world that we're in right now for this turning into exactly what happened with ICE. And so my fear is, what do we do? Like, how do we help? If you have so many people that are so worried and so scared, and we're telling them to vote, and we're telling them to do this, but I think he's just slowly ticking away. I know I talked to one of the leaders here in Okaloosa in the Hispanic community, and he was like, they're scared. They're scared. And the Hispanic immigrants, and they're just worried about, if we go vote, are they tracking us? Are they going to pick us up? Are they going to be there waiting for us? And it seems like he's doing everything he can to make sure that anybody that could possibly stop all this is gone, and put fear in everybody. That's what I got for now.
BJ.
I think it's important for the audience to know why this case even went to the Supreme Court. The reason why it went to the Supreme Court is because when a group of people from a particular country are granted temporary protective status, that means that a body of people have come together to determine that the conditions in a country are so abhorrent or so unsafe or so unsettled that that we will be the country of refuge for people to come to in order to flee the conditions that their country has fallen into, whether that be a natural disaster, whether that be a civil war, whether that be an authoritarian takeover, which, hell, we maybe need temporary protective status soon. So so those things are determined by a body of people who make that decision. The reason why this case went to the Supreme Court is because the authoritarian regime that currently occupies the White House says that that body no longer matters. I determine when it's over. And so the court basically said, yeah, actually, we side with the administration. The administration can decide. No need to worry about the law. No need to worry about whether or not the conditions in the particular country have changed. The body that decided that this country would grant people temporary protected status, that body is null and void. The chief executive in the White House can make the decision whether it's, or his chief of staff, i.e. Stephen Miller, can decide when that's over arbitrarily, without any discussion, without any investigation. And the Supreme Court basically said, yeah, that can move forward. And so that's why I think, more importantly, this is devastating, because now we've given more authority to a singular executive who is already at every beck and call using the levers of power within the government to usurp more power. And so this can only end pretty badly. But you know what? They told us this when they were at their convention. They didn't say that. A lot of immigrant population says, oh, but they only going to deport the criminals. They're only going to deport the undocumented. They didn't hold up signs that said deport undocumented or deport criminals. They held up signs that said mass deportation. And last time I checked, it costs just as much to print a sign that says mass deportation as it does to print a sign that says deport the criminals. So if they meant deport the criminals, they could have printed a sign that said deport the criminals at their convention. But their signs, all of them held signs that said mass deportation. What you thought they meant? You didn't think they meant you? Right. So here we are. And it's going to take some time for us to get this country back from where it's descended. And I don't think we've hit rock bottom yet, if I'm being honest. But yeah, that's where we're at right now.
You know, what this country, if they go through with what they talked about doing, and usually they try to anyway, go through with it. You're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars leaving the country, and then that help prop up this country's economy. And I mean, it's only going to make the country worse. It's just like laying off almost 500,000 Black women in this country who was making between $70,000 and $300,000 a year. And that money is now taken out of the economy, and the economy is already, you know, at bottom really. You know, we had some $30-some trillion in debt almost, with hundreds of billions in interest that we have to pay on that debt, and then you're going to put all these people out that has helped pay the debt, paid the interest on the debt. You know, it's really crazy. I mean, to have, but they doing all this because of they want to set up an apartheid form of government where minority rules, because and a minority of white men on top of it. That's they're talking about, and the Stephen Millers of the world who need to be in prison somewhere. Because he's behind the destruction of families and destruction of all the institutions, you know, and Trump is their front man for it. But the thing about it, it's going to take an overwhelming, we'll have to have a critical mass of people turn out to vote this year. If they have any listening skills whatsoever to see what is taking place. Now, I was reading about when they was hanging Black people, when they would bring all of the children out and all of that, they were desensitizing the the communities that was around it, because people came from all over to a hanging, to this spectator sport that they were doing at the time, hanging someone on a Sunday. People had picnic baskets and they would get on trains and stuff. They sold tickets and everything else to a lynching. And it was desensitizing because the children was there. So they didn't have no feelings, as they grew up because of what was taking place. And this is what's happening now. We've been trying to tell people it's not just the Hispanic people they were going to go after. They're going to go after the Haitian, then they're coming after us because the birthright, the Supreme Court going to make a ruling on birthright. They're going to make a ruling on the 14th Amendment. And the birthright in the 14th Amendment was all about us. And so we have to know that this is not just about immigrants. This is about people that live here in America, and and Black people in particular, and people of color. This is going to directly affect our citizenship in this country, because that's what the 14th Amendment was written. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment was written for us. And all of the bills all of the legislation that was fought for in the 60s and on into, even before that. But it was the major piece of legislation was the Civil Rights Bill. Well, they have gutted that to the core now. That is nothing but just a bill with no teeth, because they gutted that other day, the Civil Rights Bill. So it's something that we have to really, really be in tune with, which is part of the 14th Amendment, which is our birthright in this country. And because they are going after birthright, they are going after our rights as Black people in this country. And we better be aware and awake to what is coming down the pipe, because it's serious, and it's very serious, and it's going to take all of us trying to expose much of it as we can. But all of this was in the Project 2025 that we tried to tell people. But
sorry, go ahead. Finish
go ahead. I'm through there.
Okay. I was going to say, let's move on to our next topic. And for those who are listening, it talked about the U.S. Postal Service has declared and says that it won't deliver vote-by-mail ballots to voters in states that refuse to turn over their voters list. And for those states who do decide to turn them over, they will determine which voters are eligible, excuse me, and will deliver only to them, which goes along with Trump's executive order regarding vote by mail that he said, which would limit vote by mail ballots to only those who are disabled, who are, deployed, and I forget the other condition, but seemingly not allowing those who typically experience that issue. What say you, BJ? What is your thought on that?
I think my thought is that we have a failure of imagination. And when I say we, I mean the coalition of people on screen, as well as maybe some of our people in leadership. We have a failure of imagination on what their floor is and just how low they're willing to go to take power in this country. And so now they're suggesting that they won't deliver ballots when the Democratic Party's main strategy is vote by mail. And now they're saying, you know what? We won't deliver your ballot. Go ahead and register all those people to vote by mail. We just won't deliver them. So I think we need to try and maybe consider, what is the floor? How low are they willing to go? And then start planning for that. Otherwise, it's just a checkers game
Mm-hmm.
where we're chasing.
Yeah,
Jamil, what's your thought?
BJ is right. We don't have we don't have an inkling of what the floor is for them. I just always think that the floor is hell for them. Um, because they've pretty much proven that time and time again. We sit here and we're like, oh man, like it can't get any lower than this, and then it's like, ooh, lower, and um, we know what the strategy is. Like we know what the bigger picture is. Us as the coalition that's on this call, I feel that the five to six of us are pretty intelligent enough to know that not only is this voter suppression, but this is explicitly targeting voter suppression on um, Black people in this country, on working class people in this country, on older people in this country, because they can say all day that, well, we'll make sure that when we look at the list, we'll send vote by mail out to disabled individuals. Yes, are y'all gonna send vote by mail out to Black disabled individuals?
Mhm.
Are y'all gonna send vote by mail out to Black senior citizens? Um, you know, we have to, there's something that us in the state of Florida, we have to deal with in January of this year when the Florida Save Act becomes the law of the land. This is like almost the preview of that, if you will, because the Florida Save Act is going to explicitly target Black people in this state, women in this state, and disabled individuals in this state. Like this is wild. And if we don't think it's gonna get any worse, it's gonna get worse. And if we think, as much as all of us are actively pushing for, y'all gotta go vote. Y'all gotta go vote. August, y'all gotta go vote in the primary. November, y'all gotta go vote in general. If we think that this election and the results of this election going in our favor is gonna stop all of this, like, yeah, I got great beachfront property in Alaska that I want to sell y'all. Like, that's not the case.
But I know one thing. We're gonna have to go ahead. Go ahead, Derek. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Mr. Mankosh.
I know one thing. We're gonna have to definitely, if they mess up the mail, and which they are intending to do, and intend to put people on the streets that's gonna harass people at the voting places. It's gonna cause a crisis. I think. Well, we're already in a crisis, a worse crisis in the country that should not be. Derek, are you?
Jill, do you have a thought?
Look, you know me. I had to go and chat GPT if there is a biblical place lower than hell. Is there a basement to hell? Because I thought I knew the Bible, but I didn't know it well enough. I'm trying to figure out, because that's where I always said there's not, by the way. There's lake of fire, there's hell, there's hell. So, but I think BJ, well, for me, I don't want to go there. I'm gonna sound like I'm on an angle. But there's a whole lot of places that we're sitting in hell, like right now on earth. And it's not just because of them. Sometimes it's because of ourselves, because of each other and things that happen. So that being said, but I think that we no longer need to figure out how low they're going to go. They're just going to go that until it's all gone and it's all theirs. That's the low. It's theirs and you are nothing. It's theirs and you don't exist or matter. It's theirs and you either work, live, die, sleep, whatever for them. That's their low. That's what they want. That is what he is trying to create. And then I thought, as Jamil was talking, I'm like, didn't we just sit through a whole 2-hour thing on why it's so important to do vote by mail? And if they take vote by mail away from Democrats, we are just done. Like, it's automatic. That's why they're doing it. Because we do it so well that if they take it away, we've been telling people it's plan A. Get it no matter what. This is your one guarantee. No matter what happens, if you have your vote by mail, you can vote. And if they change their mind anytime, that totally shifts it. It gives them the automatic win. It's kind of like they're redistricting. It just gives them the automatic win. It just continues to create the world that they see. It's hell for us, and for them, I guess they like living in hell. I don't know. But whatever that is, I still think I'm waiting to hear and contemplating and trying to figure it out. So I'm not just sitting back waiting. But what do we do? Because it only gets worse. Every week we come back on here, it's something else. It's always something else. And many times it's not just one something else. It's not just one community. It's several communities. It's several different issues. What are we going to do? Because we're still telling everybody to fill out and vote by mail. And I think that the party structure still has that. I'm probably off on numbers, but I'm going to say 50. Like we register 500,000, 250 vote. We register X amount of people on vote by mail and X amount turn it in. We still haven't gotten our stuff all the way together. And then you throw all of these fire pits that people have to walk through, or at least believe they can walk around. And it's already come up. I mean, one of our caucus members was like, oh, no, I can't do vote by mail because they said they had already taken it to, they're not going to accept it, even though that's not how they ruled. So what are we going to do? I think we have to start thinking in what are we going to do? And I think Jamil is right. I would hope that people aren't thinking that just because you get some wins, which we are working to do, that this stops. And that they don't have a workaround around the workaround, and that their hell is vast and deep. And it might have many basements.
And Derek, you always say that we a few election cycles from enslavement. So I think we just need to assume, like, make the plan for that.
Yeah. So I take a little bit of a contrarian point of view on this from you guys. I think I feel like, and this is just my opinion, that this is a scare tactic. Number one, let's be clear for those that are watching, so that nobody thinks, "Oh Lord, I can't do vote by mail." Vote by mail, and you will always continue to hear us say that it is your plan A. The reason why I feel comfortable saying that is that elections and how you vote is in the control of states. The federal government doesn't have control over elections. Although they would like to, they don't. So right now, he could issue 15,000 executive orders.
He got control of the post office.
Let me finish my point. He could have 15,000 executive orders, but at this point in time, vote by mail ballots will still go out. This has been struck down right now. There's a hold on this because it's unconstitutional. Number one, let's talk about where we live right now in the state of Florida. Whether he has the power to do so, what we need to assume is that the state of Florida has already turned over their vote by mail, their voter files, because we have a MAGA legislature, right? So it's already gone. So you're going to get your vote by mail ballots at this point in time. There's not a plan in place that they're going to be able to say they're only delivering vote by mail ballots to Republicans and not Democrats, maybe some MPAs. That's just not going to work. That's a federal lawsuit that's going to be immediately, rendered. It's just not going to happen. So right now, for us in Florida, you should still feel safe to do your vote by mail, get your vote by mail ballot, and to request your vote by mail ballot. Our supervisor of elections are proceeding as normal. They're going to go out. I think the first set goes out sometime next month for overseas ballots, right? So at the beginning of next month for overseas voters, and then shortly thereafter, I think it was 2 weeks later for domestic mail ballots. So we'll still get them. Everybody should still feel free and should be encouraged to register and re-enroll or enroll, whichever it is, for vote by mail. This shouldn't be something that deters you. You'll know whether or not you get a vote by mail ballot. It will be clear to you. If you get it, you're 100% already there. If you are concerned about whether or not you can put it back in the mail safely, there are options that are available for you. You can turn it in at the early voting locations in the state of Florida during the primary, in the August election, as well as the November election. There are options and opportunities for you to do that to circumvent having to use the Postal Service. Yes, Jill.
Now, I raised my hand very nicely in the corner of the screen, so I did not interrupt your conversation.
But you raised your hand and it moved you to the front. So what you got?
Oh, I was like purposely, like if I put my hand up, you're going to call on me. But if I just put the little thing up, that you would wait and finish, because I didn't want you to not be done. Before I ask my question. Are you ready for my question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, I think you're absolutely right. For now.
You got jokes.
For now. For now, you're absolutely right. However, what I don't want us to do is do like we did with Project 2025. We give them information. We have people in the room that are like, oh, they could never do this. They would never do this. And they're doing every part of it. So no, I think Derek is absolutely right. This was not for us in our listening area in the state of Florida. Still do your vote by mail. 2026, do your vote by mail until you hear one of us tell you to not do it. Do your vote by mail. And if we tell you, do it anyway. Worst case, they don't get it, you have to go vote. However, I do think that having a conversation of what are we going to do, because depending on who your governor is, and they might not even need to follow the rule. I'm just saying, how Florida is. They follow what he says. So it doesn't matter if they've already turned in their voter rolls or whatever. If they want to stop it, they're going to stop it. Could they possibly do it? Yeah, they just don't send any out, or they just keep them like they did during 2020, whatever year that was, that they found a whole bunch of them in whatever county that was, or the truck that was dumped over here and there. There are issues. I think now Derek's right. Don't let anything that's going on stop you from doing what you're being guided and directed to do. You can check for your vote by mail. But I think the conversation has to be made, what if? Because the what ifs are all happening. And we can't say it's never going to happen, because that's how we got here.
And on top of that, the Supreme Court is supporting everything that Trump is doing in this administration. I mean, everything that they go to court for. I think they may have struck down one thing in the whole time that Trump been in office, but 99% of the decisions that came down have came down in favor of Trump. Now, on the other courts, regular courts like the circuit courts and the appellate courts, they are all in tune to what is going on. But you got a sick Supreme Court, a bunch of white guys and there's one lone Negro that's up there that's making decisions. And I don't know what Clarence Thomas think going to happen to him. He must then read see the movie by Geronimo when they tracked him down, and all the natives that helped track him down, they end up throwing them on prison too. But what good is he going to be to them after he helped overturn everything? And don't he not know that if he overturned the 14th Amendment, he's no longer a citizen, and that he would be kicked off the Supreme Court as a non-citizen because you can't be on the court, you can't serve on juries. It's just a whole host of things that you will not have access to because you are no longer a citizen of this country. So I'm just.
I there's part of Derek your explanation that in theory I agree with. It is part of a scare tactic as part of their strategy. At the same time, it does a little bit sound like the way in which quote unquote legal immigrants said, but they're not talking about us. When the man went before Congress and testified that this is the strategy that they are looking into, and then it's like we saying, it's like we not looking at the mass deportation sign. The man went to Congress and testified and said, we looking into doing this, but then we saying, oh, but you still have it. So I'm not saying that you're suggesting don't worry about it. You're suggesting that as of now, we have a strategy that we should stick to. And I agree with that. But like Jill, just to put a fine point on what Jill said, we certainly should take the Postmaster General's testimony before Congress seriously.
Well,
I would agree.
And the Postmaster General is a puppet of Trump's regime, you know. And along with some of these state governors, they've already sent, like as you said, Derek, sent they've already conceded their authority to the Trump administration. In other words, to oversee voting elections and all of that, and to register how people should register to vote. They've already done that, some of these states, and willingly giving up their power to somebody that's already drunk with power, who have no idea what is even going on in the country, but just reading a script that's given to them.
I will continue to say I don't discount what you all are saying at all. I'm standing firm in 2026. Your vote by mail will continue to, in the state of Florida, your vote by mail will continue to work as it always has, right? Yeah. Well, fingers crossed, right? If you don't get it, well, guess what? You'll know you don't get it, and so that means you'll need to go and go and early vote, right? Which is your plan B. We got a plan B. When plan A fails, you got plan B and plan C, right? But for me, I think what I'm expecting and why I'm putting so much hope into and encouraging everybody to enroll and vote by mail. And just let me take a personal shout to say, hey, you guys are listening in Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa counties, because our numbers for vote by mail enrollment continue to go up. Matter of fact, we all got an awardee this past month for our vote by mail enrollment numbers going up. So please continue. And we're not telling you to enroll and vote by mail because it helps us. We're trying to give you, to make sure you have it. But the reason why I say that is because I look at what's happening, what's going to happen in August and in November. They're already talking about deploying ICE agents to polling locations. That's going to be a thing this election cycle. And right now in the state of Florida, because we have open carry law now, you have to worry. There's no restriction on people carrying firearms into polling locations now. And, what I do believe, and I think we can all agree on this panel, is that people are crazy. and and people are crazy. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where, and I would hope that nobody else would put their self in a situation where they could become a casualty of a mass shooting, or folks trying to do something to make sure that people of color don't vote, when the best solution to that is to go ahead and vote by mail, right? So, we're trying to look at it from all sides of it. And so, again, I'm going to encourage everybody to move forward with their vote by mail ballot. If the post office isn't going to deliver it, you'll know. And so you can say, Derek, you were wrong. And I can say, oh, my bad, I was wrong. But guess what? We now got to go to Plan B. And Plan B in the Escambia County is August 8th through the 15th or 16th, one of the two, is early voting in Escambia County. And then you can go do that. So we've got options and whatnot, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But right now, everybody's still going to roll and vote right now. All right. Any other last thoughts on that before we move on? If not, I want to talk about something that Jamil shared. And in this, there is a Texas Republican, Keith Self, who represents the 3rd Congressional District in the state of Texas, has just introduced a joint resolution to repeal the 17th Amendment. Now, anybody know what the 17th Amendment is? Maria, go ahead. What is the 17th Amendment?
Me. The 17th Amendment is the amendment that gave voters the right to determine who their senators are, instead of the state legislature determining who their senators are for their states. As we all know, each state has 2 senators. Before 1913, the state legislatures determined who the senators were that would represent us in the United States Senate. After the 17th Amendment, that power was then given to the voters. And now Congressman Keith Self, who represents the 3rd Congressional District for the state of Texas, is put forth a resolution on the House floor to have that amendment repealed. Now, we all in this great place know that it still takes a constitutional convention to make amended changes to the United States Constitution. And still currently at this time, knock on wood, because that is what my desk is made of, they still don't have the numbers. The numbers still aren't there. As I stated before, Mr. McIntosh, knock on wood. Because we could face a situation where the numbers could be a thing after November the 4th. The numbers could be a thing for this resolution to be put in place come January of 2027. And we would be looking at state legislatures across the country now making the decision of who your senators are. So to put this in perspective, if there was no 17th Amendment to the United States Constitution, we would not be having a conversation around whether or not Angie Nixon or Alexander Vindman should be the Democratic nominee, or whether Ashley Moody should be the incoming incumbent. The state House and the state Senate of the great state of Florida, and I use that in a very sarcastic tone, would be the individuals who would be determining which 2 senators would enter into the space for us. And they would still be doing this every 6 years, because the every 6-year thing was always a thing, whether it was the legislatures or us, the voters.
The thing about it, I think they have 18 states already have signed on, and with the potential of 10 more signing on to this Constitution Convention. And if they get up, what is it, 32 or 34 states?
38.
38 states, yeah. If they get up, if they get up to 30, that's gonna really be scary. But I don't think they're gonna get what they want out of this. But you can't underestimate these state legislators and people that are senators now. What are they saying? How do they feel about this? It's something that we need to hear from them. And we need to hear from other Congress people who this is gonna affect as well, because state legislators, if they can if they can pull it off with the senators, they can definitely pull it off with Congress as well. So we have to make sure that people understand what all these amendments and how they're going to affect us in years to come, especially our children and unborn generations. Is they need to know, and that I guess that's why they don't even want to teach civics in certain schools anymore.
It seems like
again,
the running. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, it seems like the running theme is what's the floor? I mean, because we already know that the filibuster in the Senate is what blocks a lot of legislation from moving forward. Nancy Pelosi's Congress was the most productive Congress in the history of this nation. And it all went to the Senate and died because we didn't have 60 votes. So the Senate already operates in a way that is to stall any form of progress that this country can make for anybody, let alone Black people. I mean, for any constituency, for the marginalized, for the poor, for working class people, for poor white people, for rural communities. That's where the legislation all goes, and it dies there. And even though they have the ability to stop legislation in the Senate, they still want more power. What they have right now is still not enough. They want an insurance plan. And so it's just, what's the floor?
Yeah, I just want to be clear for everybody. So when we talk about it, this is something that happens, but right now, for this to even move forward, let's say to make this a thing, it still will require 2/3 of the U.S. House. It would require 2/3 of the United States Senate, and it would require 38 of the 50 states to in order to ratify this or make it a thing. We've only had ever in life one amendment that was overturned or repealed, and that was the 18th Amendment, which was prohibition, which was then repealed by the 21st, I think it is, 21st Amendment. So with that, we got a long way to go. But when we talk about this is why, when you look at these things, this is why gerrymandering becomes such an important part of the conversation, and them trying to gerrymander seats. It's not gerrymandering because they just want more representation. There's a goal behind wanting more representation, and that more representation is to get it to the 2/3 majority that they need to make constitutional amendment changes. Right now, this stuff is out of grasp at this point in time. But if they're successful in their attempts at gerrymandering and get the representation of the body that they would like, all things are possible. And so this is why we have to be vigilant and make sure that we're going to go and vote in each one of in the August election as well as the November 11th. We're going to have to get in the habit of saying that, the August election. Any other thoughts? Nope. If not, we will move on. There's been a lot of talk around August 18th 19th in the primary in the August election here in the state of Florida. And what happens on August 19th? And I think this is a good conversation to have. I mean, it's being had uh, in social media spaces and in spaces around the party. And there's a thought that after the August primary, that in Florida, Democrats are going to be dead in the water. And we're going to have to think of a strategy based on turnouts in the elections. Jamil, I want to start with you on this one. What do you think? I'm coming to you. Set the stage on here. What do you think? Do you think there's a concern? Do you think we need to be doing something different? What do you think we should be looking at?
So I'm going to start this off by stating two things. Number one, the views and opinions of Jamil does not necessarily reflect those of Black Voters Matter, Jacksonville Community Action Committee, or any other organizations that Jamil may be affiliated with. They do reflect those of BLKFLA, the podcast, which you can view. But they don't reflect in any other spaces. The second thing is I'm very fond of three of the individuals that's on this particular broadcast this evening that have a distinct grasp and hold of being leaders within the Democratic Party here in the state of Florida in their respective counties. Shout out to Dare Scott. Escambia County, BJ over in Santa Rosa, Miss Jill over in Okaloosa. Now that we've got that out of the way, yeah, it's a lot that's got to be done between now and August the 18th. So that way, August the 19th does not have a reflection of how people are feeling. The first thing that has to be done is that people need to keep their beefs, dramas, and or scuffles off of social media. Yeah. Like that's the first thing that has to occur. Because a lot of things that were being discussed within social media spaces could have easily been handled behind closed doors and amongst party leadership. How all of us in this space have grown up in some form of Black households, and in those Black households, they used to always tell us one thing: what goes on in the house, what stays in the house. That's it, Mr. McIntosh. Listen, you're quick with that. You're quick on the draw. But that's not what occurred. That's not what happened. Black voters, casual Black voters, not Black voters that are involved in organizing spaces, not Black voters that are involved in party leadership. Casual Black voters should not have ever known that there was a rift within the Democratic Black Caucus in the state of Florida. Should have never known that. But they did. And that's something that's going to have to be addressed as we walk into the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida conference, July 17th. If you haven't registered yet, please do so. Shameless plug. So with that, no, that's the thing that's going to have to be addressed. The second thing that's going to have to be addressed, and, I know that there are people within higher levels of party leadership that's tired of hearing this. I know there's a certain leader of a Democratic caucus of the Brown persuasion that's tired of hearing this. But the issue of anti-Blackness within the Florida Democratic Party is something that's going to have to be addressed. Yep. I mean, I know it's conversation that keeps happening to the point where a certain chair of the Florida Democratic Party wants people to be reeled in and get in line. But the only thing that needs to be reeled in and get in line is, what are you going to do to address Black voters and Black voters' issues, Chairman Freed? Today's the day we're gonna call out names. And if y'all get if the three of y'all get phone calls tomorrow about this, which I feel like y'all won't, but if y'all do, tell Nikki she got my number. So that's the thing. And the third main thing is, people within party leadership have to be told the same thing that we tell candidates. And what we tell candidates, which is the same thing that people within party leadership, no matter within higher party leadership, caucuses, what have you, the voters don't work for y'all. Y'all work for us. That is the main piece to this. The voters don't work for y'all. Y'all are in the party to advocate for the issues that the voters have that are registered Democrats on these voter registration forms. I think the thing has become that people have gotten too comfortable with saying whatever it is that they want to say and handling specific voting blocks that get you over the hump every election cycle, that you call at the last minute to get you over the hump every election cycle. Y'all handle them anyway. And when I say y'all, that's not explicitly directed to BJ, Derek, or Jill. That is directed to the entire system of the Florida Democratic Party and the National Democratic Party as a whole. I don't know why we keep pulling towards this imaginary MPA voter that we gonna swing over. I don't know why we keep pulling towards this imaginary Republican voter that we gonna swing over, when we never address the issues of Black voters in this state. And if we're just gonna talk about one seat that's up for grabs in this crucial Florida election, let's talk about the gubernatorial seat. We don't address the Black voters and their issues within this party. There is a candidate that is sitting right now who's not running as a Democrat and who's not running as a Republican, that if they pull 30 to 35% of the vote, of the Florida vote, I didn't say Florida Black vote, Florida vote, which can happen if that person pulls a considerable amount of the Black vote. If they pull 30 to 35%, the guy that's running as a Republican that looks like all of us will be the new governor of the state of Florida. And Democrats will be sitting here like, what happened? What's the matter? What's the case? Those are the three things that have to be addressed. Those are the three things that we have to get in line if we want any type of considerable wins. And the last one, the fourth one, stop choosing favorites during the primary. Because it's very clear. It's very clear from the Senate race who the party's favorite is. Stop choosing favorites during the primary. Because according to y'all, that's not a thing that's supposed to happen. I get told by local Democratic parties every year, well, if it's too many of us running during the primary, we don't endorse and we don't choose who it is that we're going to be behind until after the primaries over and we go into the general election. Okay, y'all might not have endorsed, but we know we all everybody on this call know who y'all favorite is.
Their favorite is, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Their favorite is.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that we got a great dilemma coming up in this governor race. I mean, the dilemma is as far as the Democrat, as a Democrat winning this election, uh, this is not going to be good, and it's going to hurt all the way down the line as far as I'm concerned. Uh, I I was hoping that one of our friends would not, uh, take advantage of the situation. We're in a crisis right now. This is a crisis. We need to get some stability in the Democrat Party here in the state of Florida, and that means winning the governorship and hopefully some of those gerrymandered seats that are out there that we need to win, and definitely those congressional seats that we have. But it's it's a dilemma, and then you got somebody that's want to run that's running in a district that was carved out for Black people. That's going to hurt us. If that could possibly hurt us. I hope not. I hope not. I hope we win that flat out. But you never know.
When is this imaginary meeting supposed to have happen between the Black candidates in that specific congressional district to coalesce behind one Black candidate to have a better chance for a Black candidate to sit in that seat and not Debbie Downer?
Exactly.
I want to say something so bad, but I'm just gonna move right along. I'm not even gonna answer your question because I absolutely want to answer the question, but I'm not going to answer the question because I'm going on my big boy britches. But what I will say, I think, I understand. I'm going to do like you guys do. Some people have relationships with folks in this race. And so some of you guys who are watching may be like, I don't know who the hell y'all are talking about. So I don't have those relationships. So I'll speak where others may not be able to, for us. And, Mr. McIntosh, I tend to, again, take a contrarian point because I don't think we have a dilemma. I think the goal is to not see. I think we can all agree. Let's all agree on one point, right? And let's make sure we're level set. The goal that we can agree on is to not see Byron Donalds take the governor's mansion after November. Correct? We can all agree on that, right? So right now that leaves whoever the nominee is for the Democratic Party, and then whatever third party or independent candidates that there are. Right now, we know in the state of Florida, Desmond Meade has filed to run and qualified to run for the candidates for the gubernatorial race this November. So he will be on the ballot. For me, it's not a dilemma because if people are considering voting for him, and let me preface this by saying I don't know the man, but I like the work that the man has done, and I don't hear anything but great things about him. But I don't have a personal relationship. But what I will say is that if people are considering voting for him, then that is, in my opinion, the quickest path to getting Byron Donalds into the governor's mansion. So for me, we have to coalesce or make a decision. I know there are many people that would love to see a Black governor for the state of Florida. that being one of them. But this year in 2026, that can't be the case, right? So where are we moving forward to? Let's hope. Maybe there it could be the case, but again, there are not enough people who are moving in one direction to coalesce. It fractures the vote, in my opinion. It fractures the vote, which leads to a black governor, but not the one that you want. All skin folk and kinfolk, right? So we need to do what we need to do to ensure that folks are ready and prepared and know what's at stake. It is unfortunate that we have so many people in the governor's race this year. I'm hoping that we get a strategy that includes addressing the needs, as Jamil so eloquently articulated, the needs and concerns of Black voters, and we can coalesce around the candidate that will do so on the Democratic side, and that's where, what I will say is I agree with you, Jamil. Time and time again, you hear, oh, we don't in a primary when there's a contested race, we don't pick somebody. We remain neutral. Well, what I see are DNC members. I see county chairs. I see all of the above doing what they want to do without repercussion, right? And to your point, it is lending itself to a climate and a culture of we say one thing, but we're doing something totally opposite, right? And for me, that's unacceptable. Or if you're going to do it, let's all do it. If we're going to do it, let's all do it. So if Walton County can do it, so can Escambia, so can Santa Rosa, and so can Okaloosa. Like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander as well. If Duval can do it, so can Nassau, so can St. John, so can Clay, so can all those other folks, because they do it, and that's where my problem lies. They do it without consequence, right? So I hope we can come to a better thing. And then, what was devastating, I'm skipping around. What's devastating for me was to see that senatorial candidate Angie Nixon had her campaign van was vandalized, this past weekend. Hope we get to a better place where folks take their thumbs off of the scale and allow voters to vote who they would like and not force someone who they would like. I mean, be clear, Alexander Vindman is supposed to be here next week. BJ, did you get information regarding his visit? Nope. Gil, you got something? Nope.
Totally
I
not.
certainly didn't get anything. But here's where we are. For me, I always go with the candidate that shows up, who listens to the people and has the voice of the people. If you can't even be bothered to talk to Democrats in your area, then why do I need to support you? That's just my opinion. And I don't have to be neutral on that. I support those who support us. That's the way it works for me. And so I hope folks in August will see and make the decisions that they make. Jill, you got something?
I agree with some of what you said. Although I would start with, you said the last thing, and I was like, why'd you have to say that? I could have said I agreed. But there are candidates that we love that still have not been. I don't know about you, but Santa Rosa County, but they definitely have not been in Okaloosa County. So I just want every candidate, all of them, to understand that just because you go to Escambia does not mean you went to the Panhandle. because it's hard for us to share that, hey, so-and-so was in Escambia, but they went through Okaloosa and Santa Rosa and Walton and Mariana and Jackson and all of those counties to get there. Now take that off the counter. Now let's go everything else. I'm always going to say that because it's hard for me. We mentioned earlier, David Jolly came, and I appreciate it, but it was after he went to Pensacola 6 times. Wait, let me say that again. It was after he went to Pensacola.
And before you bring your point up, I want to echo that I agree with Jill, because if we look at the 2025 special election that happened for Congressional District 1, Gay won Escambia. Gay only lost Okaloosa by what? 1,200 votes? I'm very familiar with Okaloosa County. That's a city block in Fort Walton Beach. So like 1,200 votes. And we would be having a completely different conversation right now. So like every candidate, whether statewide or your congressional or what have you, if you have an opportunity to like really touch base in Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa, you should. You really should. And not to say that Gay doesn't, because Gay absolutely does. But for these other people, if you have an opportunity to touch bases in these 3 counties, you should. You absolutely should, because it can mean life or death for you as far as your political career goes. That's my TED Talk. Thank you.
All right, thanks. So if we go past that, I think, Derek, you're right, but I'm not sure that we have the strategy to explain to people who, as Jamil said, are watching social media and seeing the different caucuses go at each other, the different DNC members and FDP go at each other, and then we are going to come in knowing that we represent those people and say, but you know what, even though they're not centering Blackness, and even though there's this big issue between Black, brown, religion, LGBTQ plus, all of that, we still want you to vote for da-da-da-da-da. It's going to be very difficult for not the engaged, but the unengaged people who all they know is that Desmond Meade did what he did and that many people voted for something he put in place and it passed. And like you said, if you listen to what Derek said, I don't know him. I think I've met him once, but I don't know him, but I don't know anybody that's saying anything negative. I don't know how we explain to them and I might be ignorant, so y'all can tell me this. I'm going to go like really, I don't understand this. How do we explain to the voting base of those people that are involved and not involved that they shouldn't make that decision when the powers that be, whoever's going to win the Democratic nominee, couldn't tell Desmond Meade not to run? They couldn't even get him not to run. So in my mind, I'm like, well, if you guys talked to, I have to believe they talked. I don't know that, but I have to believe they knew he was getting a race because he talked about it for months of whether he was going to make that decision. It's kind of like in CD20 without the race card, but the same idea that he's in the race now. And if they couldn't talk him out of it, how in the world are we going to talk all of these people out of making a decision that they're watching on social media that looks like hell in our own party? Because that's what it looks like. It looks like it's just a total cluster. And I guess I need somebody to answer that, because I'm not disagreeing with Derek. Is correct. That's what has to happen. But how does that happen if what they're seeing, what they're watching, what they're hearing says the exact opposite? And then you have this person over here who, for all intents and purposes, could be the almost perfect candidate in a different space and place. And if we don't answer that question, then I go back to my analogy, and it's probably a crazy one, but it's the only one I can think of is like Humpty Dumpty sitting on the wall. It's already fractured and broken. But when it falls this time, it's scattering across the state of Florida. And if there's not a plan to find every little tiny little piece, we lose. Because the shattering has already happened. It just happens to still be in its shape. It just hasn't, like, all the pieces haven't fallen apart. So in my mind, as Jamil said, if in that congressional district down in that area that we're talking about, CD20, if they couldn't figure it out, like they know the answer. You cannot have 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't have more than one Black candidate and beat her. Period. You still have 5. They can't figure it out. So when she wins, they're going to be pissed. Everything falls apart. Nobody has a plan. We're talking about it, but there's no plan, and I don't know. So for me, I guess if anybody can answer, that's my, like, I'm thinking like they had to talk to, just like they, when before Jerry got in the race, there were conversations, but he felt compelled to get in the race, so he got in the race. What conversations went on with Desmond? Because they had to see the picture. They don't need us to tell them this. With Desmond in the race, it's going to be very hard for some people that are not as engaged, and maybe even some that are engaged, to not see him as, at least we know what he stands for. And if we can't figure that out, then yeah, the end result is that Byron's going to be in there, but they won't know until it's too late. And that seems to be the structure. 2025, here it is. We talk about it, say it in 50 million different languages. And they're like, no, it's not going to be that bad. It can't be. And they can't see past it. If they couldn't see past a freaking book with all the pages written and we tell you where to go, we think, are we writing a book on Desmond Meade and what the difference of him or whoever wins the Democratic nominee and why everything's going to fall to pieces? Because if we don't have a book, they had a book last time. They still got the book. It's played out every day. And they still don't believe it. How are we going to? And it takes a strategic group. But I'm gonna let BJ, because he's always talking about he's figured some stuff out, maybe answer. But that's where I am. I'm just like, I get it, and I believe you. And Derek, you are absolutely right. But just talking about it and saying it to them is not going to make them say, oh, "Okay, Derek, we trust you." It will in the Scambia, I think, absolutely. But if you're in other places where you don't have a strong DEC chair or whatever, or you have a lot of people that don't even remember. I'll use Okaloosa, 26,000 Democrats. Do you want to know how many know about the D for the party, but they're not in the party structure? So how do we reach those 25,000 that are just saying, nope, this is what I'm going to do? Go ahead, BJ.
Oh, okay. I want to preface by there are a lot of unsaid things, and I'm kind of not in the know, so I can't really comment to some of the things, not necessarily as a party chair, but just because I don't know what the hell y'all talk about. But what I do know is race in America. That's where my scholarship is. And to Jamil's point about the race problem, I would say the race issue with Black people in Florida with Democratic politics is that our banking institutions are racist by design. Our housing institutions are racist by design. Our criminal justice institutions are racist by design. So why we shouldn't act surprised when our political structures are racist by design. And so it should not be revelatory to anybody watching, or for me to say this, that the Democratic Party as a political institution is racist by design. That does not mean that everybody that's registered Democrat is a bad person. It just means that institutions were developed in this country to not serve everybody purposely. Now, we still are involved in all these institutions because, yeah, the banking system is racist by design, but we all got bank accounts. As far as I know, we all have homes on this. We all live in a home. We all have a place to call our head, to lay our heads on this screen. And yet we know that housing institutions are inherently racist by design. And so I would say we participate in racist systems all the time. And so we have to participate in the political system despite it having the inherent racism that exists within it. And so it's our job to push those institutions to serve us in better ways. And I think expecting the institution to behave in a way in which it was not designed to behave is a little bit naive. And so it's incumbent upon us to make the decision to push the institution that we want to participate in to serve us better. That push is going to come with a lot of fight, and we just got to be prepared to fight it. And that's all I would have to say about that.
I know Desmond very well. I worked with him for 2 years on this Florida Rights and Restoration. It's nothing negative that I know you can say about it. Desmond, that's and as far as I'm concerned. However, I'm concerned about us losing the governor's seat, and I know Shamil, that was you said, we should vote for favors, right? If I wish that was the case in this time, that we had, a choice that if we did lose, we wouldn't have to worry about our voting rights being taken away. If the Democrat Party did lose, I say the Democrat Party did lose, then we wouldn't have to worry about being harassed and, people in the upcoming presidential election, we wouldn't have to worry about ICE being at our polling places. It's just a whole host of things that could go very, very wrong. And I agree with you on that. We should not be voting for favors, but for people that have proven a proven record of what they've done, and it's as far as I'm concerned, we are in a dilemma of a sort as far as the Democrat Party and as far as winning the governorship, and hopefully it would have panned out that we won some of those legislative seats back, so that they wouldn't have a super majority in the legislature, so there would be some debates that take place on issues that we know that need to be addressed. But I digress.
I think for me, that is the biggest piece to all of this is literally the state legislature. It's literally the state legislature. If we cannot get a hold to the state, if we cannot, let me not say if we cannot, if we can, if the Democratic Party can get a hold to the state legislature, then a lot of things that Byron Donalds will want to institute as governor cannot be instituted if you have a state legislature that actually cares about the that actually cares about the needs of the people. And there is an opportunity. It's not like there's not an opportunity to do that. There's ample opportunity to do that, to be able to get a hold of the state legislature. Us also bringing up Desmond Meade time and time again in this conversation leads me back to the other piece that I brought up in the beginning of the Democratic Party does this thing about trying to reach out to the imaginary NPA voter to swing that NPA voter over. Baby, that man is running as an NBA.
Right. Exactly.
Listen, y'all got to come up with another strategy, because just like how Mr. McIntosh has stated, there is not that much bad that you can say about Desmond Meade that are going to swing NPA voters over to vote for whoever the Democratic nominee is, especially knowing that, whether we want to admit this or not, that man drew out 63% of the Florida vote in 2018 with Amendment 4. Yes, we give the credit to Florida Rights Restoration Coalition and the many people in this state that helped to push that campaign for Amendment 4 forward. But the key word to that is campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And if we replace Amendment 4 as an amendment and put a person in that space, the majority of the time that person that gets put in that space is Desmond Meade.
Right.
Desmond drew out 63% of Floridians to vote for something. He has a proven track record. And the majority and a good portion of that is MPA voters. And also a good portion of that, disproportionately, were Black voters.
Mm-hmm. And some white voters. So, yeah. But, but like you said, if 35% of those voters are poor, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt here in the state of Florida. I see our time is almost up. I'm gonna do my.
Yep, we are. Do you have a book recommendation?
Yeah, I want to go back. This will take you way back. The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Wilson. This was a door opener for me. Also, this book, I know some of you may have and may not have read, called Without Sanctuary. And it's about all the lynchings and all of the things that took place during that period when lynching was at its zenith, and how people were just innately, just involved in the lynching of people, just sending postcards and body parts and everything else through the mail. So that it was so pervasive, they had to stop people from sending parts to somebody through the mail. They had to stop it. So that lets you know how insensitive and how desensitized people were to lynching. So that's my spiel on it. I hope everybody get a chance to read that. It's a good book. It's a good read on what took place in that period of history. The lynching and all of that. The book is called, again, Without Sanctuary. All right, back to you, Derek.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you, everybody. Huge thanks, Jamil, for joining us again. We look forward to seeing everybody next week. Until then, take care, everybody. Have a phenomenal week, and we will see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.
Good night.